UK Comic Book Reviewer. This is about the Beezer book in 1986, which is in quite good condition, but it has been clipped. You got all the characters there in a band. You got some little short comic strips about them, doing little jokes. You got Joe and Hoss, Hungry Hoss, with the whoever looks belongs to, which isn't been written in. And the guys and all of the regular cast going sailing on a boat and swimming. You got Ginger there having a swim and then trying to get a shower and failing, and getting soaked by other means, which he's not very happy about. Got the bad lad trying to eat in a posh restaurant and failing. Boss tries to be a big boss guy. Fingers tries to be a waiter, and Nuck tries to get into the kitchen through a window, which he's too big for, and gets pushed back out again. So they decide to buy some posh dinner suits, but for Arabs, pretending to be oil sheikhs. And basically, Boss gets caught again because his rope gets caught under the door because the other two push it too hard, and Boss chases them afterwards. Baby Crockett, wishing he could be a frog until it comes to how they eat. Pop, Dick and Harry there. Pop making a mechanical dog because his tools got pinched, and tells her the other dog isn't a very good guard dog apparently. But the mechanical dog does have a lot of glitches and problems, which unfortunately makes him turn on Pop, and tells her chases after the burglar, nicking the clock. You've got Beefy Dan here, a big, rather large chef guy. Who decides to make some cookies, which turn out too heavy and turn out too light and float away. But how you do that, I don't know, because they got to weigh something. You've got Hungry Hoss there, who disguises himself as a bird to try and get some bird seed, and ends up getting put into the zoo, which Joe has to get him out of. And you've got Scrapper there talking about his year and all the fights that he got into throughout the year, and enjoying it, with the young lad not having a particularly good year. Got some puzzle pics there from including a fish and some birds and a castle. And you've got the Banana Bunch there trying to stop Fatty raiding their larder, using all sorts of means. Unfortunately, Fatty does get in and they can't get him out because the door's locked and Brainy has lost the key, so they decide to chase after Brainy because of it. You've got the Numbskulls there. Basically, the man's going to his school reunion, and apparently he used to be a lot like Smiffy when he was younger, as he turns up all dirty and horrible. And you've got little Mo there, who's given an orange by her mum and gets soaked by Monksy, who wants her orange, and ends up getting squirted by Mo with the orange. And you've got Beefy Dan again, this chef guy whose restaurant has problems with mice. So he decides to get some cheese to try and help it, but unfortunately Dan ends up with the cheese on himself and being chased by mice, who in turn get chased by cats. You've got Smiffy there trying to wash his hands. Can't use the kitchen because his mum's soaking clothes in there. Can't get into the bathroom because his dad's having a bath. And apparently he hasn't got an outside tap which he can't use, or a neighbour's property. And decides to use ingenuity to get all the plates and cutlery in. Sheriff's an ape, Charlie the ape. Basically, this guy is a restaurant owner, and the two guys he employed were both wanted for robbery. So the restaurant owner decides to get revenge on Charlie by committing a load of robberies himself, and Charlie gets mistaken for being the robber, and unfortunately Dan puts Charlie in jail. But Charlie escapes by wrecking the prison and going after the guys responsible for it, and finds out where they are, and foils their bank robbery. And fortunately for Charlie, gets a massive reward, but unfortunately it's spent on repairing the prison. And you've got the Copper's kid here, young lad whose friend keeps being burgled, and so his dad decides to investigate it as well as Sid. So Sid decides to set some traps for the burglar, and his dad tries to investigate and check around and see what's going on. Unfortunately, his dad ends up getting taken to the police station and isn't very happy with Sid. You've got Hungry Hoss there escaping from the sheriff and a posse, helping himself to some chili beans, mistaking them for being something cold, but unfortunately chili beans are very, very hot. Ends up dancing, putting Joe into a well. Joe gets arrested. Horse wants to go in because he thinks Joe's going to the cooler and he'll cool off there. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite happen like that, because cooler is just another name for a prison. You've got Colonel Blink there going to the beach, throwing seaweed onto a guy, and going water skiing by accidentally. You've got Beezer teasers, all of the puzzles there. Ginger wanting to find the toy department. Mirabelle trying to work out some puzzles. Baby Crockett visiting Santa's grotto, and Pop, Dick and Harry trying to find the menswear department, and Banana Bunch buying some socks. Saucy Sue here, that young girl who who wants to go to a football match with her granddad, but makes him take rather a lot of clothes on. But there was a reason why she wanted him to put a load of clothes on, and because she wanted to sit on the whole pile of clothes so she could see the football match, because there's a rather large guy sitting in front of her. And you got Smiffy again, collecting a vase for his mum, and basically having to try and stop it getting broken. His mum's not happy that he's dirty again, and snatches the vase off him and ends up smashing it into the side of the door. Got Hillies and Billies again. Sheriff basically tries to stop them fighting and causing noise, so puts a clock in there thinking that it's a bomb, making both of them think it's a bomb, but the Billy's son rumbles it by realising it was a clock by overhearing the sheriff, and they decide to put some dynamite in there, which unfortunately the sheriff then sits on the crate and ends up being blown into the tree. And you've got the Banana Bunch there, Brainy trying to get them up for school, but they all run late. Unfortunately, the teacher's not in a very good mood and gives them lines for running late, and they decide to get a cockerel to wake them up. Unfortunately, the cockerel wakes them up too early, and they get lines for falling asleep in class, which results in the lads chasing Brainy. And you've got the Munchers, which was similar to Black Bun. Rabbits trying to nick food off a farmer. And the farmer ended up having to do some washing because he tried to smoke the bunnies out and smoked the laundry, which his wife weren't too chuffed about. You got the Numbskulls man having a rest there, trying to rest in his front garden, and having a rabbit jumping on his belly and being soaked by a guy who was watering his plants. So the brain Numbskull decides to put a new fence in, which basically fractures a water pipe and ends up with a load of water all over the garden. And over here you got Joe's soap, whose granddad uses a potion up to turn into a bird, into a parrot, and basically tries to find some food. Unfortunately causes a lot of problems for a restaurant and a load of nuts on bird feeder, and ends up in a pond trying to cool off, falls down a chimney, falls a burglary, and calls the police. Joe gets in the way a couple of times, sadly, and they end up with a blanket on, and the granddad bird puts a blanket on top of them, which causes them to crash their bike. And you got basically the police catch the burglars in the end, because Granddad turns back into Granddad, from the bird back into Granddad again, and falls on top of them. And the guys get arrested, and Granddad decides he doesn't like seed cake because of his experiences as a bird. You've got the Hillies and Billies here, having another shooting at each other, but unfortunately the Billies are out of ammo, so they decide to use nails, nuts and bolts instead of bullets, which chases the Hillies away. So the Hillies decide to retaliate by putting cement in their blunderbusses, and which ends up basically causing their guns inoperable and ends up sort of backfiring in their faces. But poor Betty has another idea of hiding guns in their bandages, and gets his own back on the hillies. You got little Mo here and Mirabelle having a picnic next to a cricket match, which Mugsy's in. Although why they'd have a picnic that close to a cricket match, I don't know. But anyway, but Mugsy decides to keep whacking the ball at them, which basically it's their food, ruins Mirabelle's comic, and lands on Mo's foot. So Mo decides to get her granddad in to bowl Mugsy out with a bowling ball. Although, why Mugsy thought he could whack a bowling ball with a cricket bat, I've absolutely no idea. You got Baby Crockett here, trying to imitate the other characters, Colonel Blink and Smasher, Scrapper rather, the bad lads, Hungry Hoss, and Joe, trying to make himself out to be Joe, hides in the bin like Smiffy and ends up with a load of food on him and has a bath at the end. And then you get Sheriff chasing Hungry Hoss and Joe, and Joe having to go and get his money, but unfortunately they're right out in the desert, and the sheriff eventually finds them and gives them water. And you've got Pop, Dick and Harry again. Pop trying to find out what Dick and Harry are doing, and ends up with his nose getting hit rather a lot through being nosy, as you do. In the end, poor old Pop ends up with his nose trapped in a plank of wood, and isn't too chuffed about it. And we get some more comic strips here. Elephant with a cold in the nose, centipede with corns. Okay. And Baby Crockett thinking the car's eating Dad. Got the munchers with nuts, not liking them particularly by the looks of it. And there we are. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. I will see you again soon. This has been a UK Comic Reviewer, and take care, and I'll see you in another video. Bye bye.